Alright guys, welcome back to the next episode. So in one of the previous videos I had explained to you guys that you're gonna have to build these little boards yourself. I had already one pre-built for you guys as I was recording the last one and showing you how to put it together, how it fits into the switch, but I figured I'd put together for you guys a video on the actual assembly of the circuit board itself, and that's what I'm going to take you guys through now. Now I pre-recorded this, I did it already, so I'm just going to add some flavor and some commentary here. I may skip around depending on how long certain things take, but I'll take you through it right now. So what you actually see here is me starting out with the RGB LEDs, and this is the one for the OK and the phone button. Obviously I know that based on how I put the silk screening on the flex cable. These are really tiny. For perspective, those are about 3 millimeters across, which I want to say is probably about a little smaller than the size of a pencil eraser. What I have here is a set of tweezers, SMD tweezers for adding components to circuit boards, and I'm just trying to get it straight on the pads, so you may see me struggle with it a little bit here. This is under a magnification, so I use a magnifier called an Andon star. So that's this over here. It allows me to, magnify what I'm working on and display it up on the screen here. It records while you're working. It just doesn't record audio. So, yeah. So here I come in with the soldering tip. My soldering tip is extremely dirty. Don't mind that. I probably struggle with this a little bit because it wasn't that clean. I'm actually going to skip ahead here because what you're actually going to see is that I end up soldering on a little crooked, and I wasn't thrilled with that, so I do believe that I end up removing it before putting it back on. So let me just skip ahead a little bit so you guys are not having to watch this. So here's me soldering the other side, and the whole thing comes off, which is not what I wanted. So what I think I found was that coming in vertically actually makes it a little bit easier to hold the SMD LED pretty straight. Now I forgot to mention, if you notice there's solder on all these pads. I did pre-tin them so that I really wasn't trying to add solder. I was trying to just heat up what was on the board and use that to attach the component. In some cases it worked, in some cases I did have to go back and add some solder, and you'll see that that ends up being a bit of a mess. I end up adding too much, and then I have to use solder wick to get it off. It ends up being a real interesting thing, to say the least. Here I add solder, I end up adding way too much. I'm going to come back with some flux here. Now, the one piece of advice I'll give you guys is don't underestimate the power of flux. I would use it whenever you have an opportunity to. It's always going to make your joints a lot cleaner, a lot smoother, and you can always go back and clean it off. Flux is not that expensive. Just make sure you always have some on hand. In the beginning, when I was first learning how to solder, I found that I wouldn't use flux, or I would try to be sparing with it, and it turned out that half of why I was not a good circuit board creator, solderer, was because I just wasn't using enough flux. Now I tend to just throw it on there, and then I'll use a Q-tip with some isopropyl alcohol to clean it off. So here's the solder wick. I'm coming in to take some of that solder off and give myself a nice clean, no bridging solder run. So when I lift it up, you'll see me change this. This is so that I can actually check to see if I got a nice connection between all three legs of the component. So that side looks pretty good. I'm going to flip it around to the other side. The other side, all three look pretty good. I double check, all three look pretty good. And so now we move on to the volume button, or the LED that illuminates the volume button. So I'm trying to show how it comes from the manufacturer. It comes out of those little pea pods, if you will. Now the one nice thing is that I believe what you'll notice is that on the flex cable, it's got this little indent, and I believe that matches the indent on the LED, which allows you to make sure you have the polarity correct. If you put the LEDs on the incorrect way, they're not going to work. So you'll notice on here I have an ample amount of flux already on the actual flex. It's a double-edged sword. You'll notice that multiple times I put the component down, it gets stuck, I lift it, it comes with it. You can see it's getting stuck to the table, but overall for me the benefit definitely outweighed the cons, if you will, that came with it, that came with using it. Again, we're just going to hold the LED down and just get a nice, quick, solid joint on each one of those legs. So once again, here I pick it up. I'm going to check them out. Now, I'm going to pause it right here. Let me go back just a hair. You'll notice right here, this leg does not look that good, and even this leg doesn't look that good. I'm not sure if I do it on camera, if I go back and fix it, but the blue LED did end up giving me problems. By the time I'm done, only one half of the circuit, the blue LED, was lighting up, so I did have to go back and double check those joints to make sure that they were solid. So here I make the rookie mistake again of adding too much solder And I think this one I have the same problem I had before where I end up just bridging those legs. And once they're bridged, man, I was not getting them off. I think this one, I have to go in with the solder mask to clean it up. Solder mask. I'm sorry, solder wick. It is a bit of a challenge depending on what temperature you set your soldering iron at. You got to be careful because these LEDs are so small, they soak up heat so fast that you just want to kind of get in and get out with your iron so you don't melt the LED and damage the actual components of it. So once again, checking my work. Turn it around. Let's check the other side. Those look okay. But let me actually go back because I want you guys to see that right here. So if you see my tip actually touched the LED here, you can see how easy it gets damaged if you hold the heat there too long. Here, you can see even on this leg, it's starting to get a little warped. That's why you don't want to spend too much time on applying heat. Go in, get out. Then try a new spot if you feel like you're spending too much time there. Go in, get out. Go in, get out. So now we're moving over to, I believe, the sync and media button, the LED. Pretty sure at this point I was just cleaning my tweezers off just from particles and things that got stuck on them. Now, if you look closely, that leg in the middle on the left, I think, is missing some. It needs more solder, so it's definitely one I probably go back to clean up and add a little bit more on. I think that's what I'm doing now. A little more flux, a little more solder on my iron, and just cleaning up some of those joints. Once again, too much solder. I think this time I cut my losses and I just come in quick with the solder wick. Or not. Oh, that one I actually must have broke pretty quickly. Those legs on the left side, man, they do not look good. Maybe they're all right. That one all the way to the left didn't look good. I think the one on the left was not good at all. Let's check the top. The top looks great. A little too much solder on that one leg, but you see the bubbling. That's because of the flux and the heat. See what I do. Adding flux to something. Oh yeah, I must have gone back and recognized that I didn't have enough there. Really, really hard to get in with this tip. If you guys have any advice for this, I'm happy to take it. I have to do obviously a few more of these, so you know, I'd rather not just keep adding and then taking away, adding and then taking away. All right, I think that might be, oof, that was rough. It does work though, so that's the end of that video. What I'll do is I'll open up, I have another one here, which is my second part to this. So let's open this one. I guess the computer breaks it into 15-minute videos. So let's just go right into the next one here. So that looks okay. It could be better, but I think that all the joints are there. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Okay, I don't know what that was about, so we'll just skip it. It looks like some dead space. All right, so we got volume done. And we're skipping. Okay, at this point, I'm showing the resistors that I am going to be adding to the board. So 3 colors. You have red, green, and blue. When I created this, excuse me, I chose to go with 470 for green, sorry, 470 for red. That's what you see here, 470. And then I believe I do a 330 and a 330 for green and blue, which I may end up changing the green based on some information I've procured at this point. But I'm just going to quickly show you guys the size of these the size of these resistors and my actual application of putting them in. Sorry, I'm just skipping a bit so that we can kind of get to it. So these resistors, I believe, are the 810, the 8 size. I forget what the numbers are, but I believe that the pads that I put on were actually the 1200 size, one size up. But if you add enough solder, and if you notice, it does fit. You just barely have enough length of the resistor in order for it to bridge that gap. So I decided I wasn't going to redesign the board, and I was not going to order a new set of resistors. I decided just to go with what I've got. And you'll see I just kind of make it work. Oh my God, that is so much solder that's not needed. I think I do better on this one. Just be careful as you do this to try not to hit your resistor, your LED. would be terrible to end up burning the LED with your soldering iron after you did all that work to try to get it connected. Oh my God, so much. I hope I go back with flux or some solder wick to clean some of that off. I don't know if I do or not though. I think I was just trying to get the peaks out of the blob of solder that I used. So that was my 2 resistors, my 470 resistors for the red run. Now I believe we're going to solder in the 330 resistors for the green and blue. Yep, there's my 330. I think I'm just, again, trying to show you guys exactly what I used. I am not very good at this, as you guys can see. I'm doing my best. I think I recognized at one point that just leaving it there doesn't work. I have to actually hold the resistors in place in order to get them to stay where I want them to. Probably still too much solder, maybe a little bit, but I would say that's a lot better than the blobs I did before. Just enough to bridge it. with that resistor, I believe that's it. So at this point now, we have all of our LEDs on. All 4 LEDs. We have our 4 330 resistors. Then over here we have our 2 470 resistors. So all of our LEDs have been soldered in. All of our resistors have been soldered in. I think at this point I'm just double checking my work. And I'm going to skip ahead because honestly I don't remember. Okay. Just like I mentioned before, you just come in with some isopropyl alcohol. I obviously used a whole lot of flux on this project. It's not a big one, but I always say use a liberal amount. It's not expensive, and you just clean it off later. It makes your soldering jobs cleaner solder, and it just makes everything a lot easier. Your solder will like to travel and follow the flux onto the pads rather than fighting with it. So as we watch me just kind of clean the board here, I'll just kind of close it out with this. Could it be done better? I'm sure. I'm also pretty sure that you can just have your vendor, whoever manufactures this flex cable for you, actually apply the components. The issue is they only sell them in batches of 5 at the minimum. And I want to say once you start having them add components, it's like $20 per board to have them add the components, which doesn't seem like a lot, but on this whole project I've spent at this point on this board alone maybe in the ballpark of $40-50 on just this board, whereas if I wanted to have them apply the components at $20 per board minimum, 5 boards, I'm looking at $100, and I'm going to have 4 left over that I have no use for. In theory, I could kind of try to sell it to someone else, but without them knowing the scope of the project and how to do it, it's just not worth it. So that's why I ultimately decided to do this on my own, solder those components on, and, make it happen. So this will be sort of a sister video to the one you guys probably just watched, which was, the one where I show the board going into the actual switches. This is the video on how to make that board at the soldering level. So next up, we will talk a little bit more about actually putting it in the car. I've learned a few things since putting it in the car, but we will take it from there. All right, guys. Catch you in the next one.